Welcome, everyone. I'm Julie Landi with Live Your Vision, and welcome to Vision Talks. This is where we talk about what a vision could look like. And it's for the faith-filled, adventurous soul who's longing for more. I'm thrilled because this series of talks we've been hosting for almost a year now have become very popular with our community. And maybe you're here for the first time, maybe you're here every month and you get to listen to the new guests that come on and the different lessons and the different perspectives and the different inspiration that is brought to you. And it really is practical and inspirational. That is our goal. So thank you so much for joining us today. I am thrilled to welcome today to you, Mie Tsuchimoto, who is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She is also a faith-based life coach. She comes to us today from Vero Beach, Florida, and has still her practice in Southern California. She's definitely a bi-coastal girl and with an incredible joy and an infectious spirit that honestly, we've often said if we could bottle it and she could sell it, she'd really be like changing the world. So welcome, Mie.
Good morning, Julie. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, we are thrilled to have you and thrilled to just, be able to learn more from you. As a therapist and a coach, that's an unusual combination. Most people are either one or the other. So I look at Mie as sort of a double threat. Not only can you move ahead with your life, but you also get to be healed if that's what you need. And Mie's done some incredible work in healing so many people in the last 2 decades as she's been an incredibly successful therapist. Now, I am going to say that Mie came to me, maybe a little over a year and a half or so ago. She was introduced to me by a mutual friend in Southern California when she came to one of our events, and we just hit it off immediately. So I thought I would we're going to talk more about what Mie specializes in here in just a second. But I think one of the things I wanted to do is just kind of get an idea, give Mie a chance to share with you a little bit about where she was at, maybe just a year and a half ago or before she started to work with us here and Live Your Vision. Would you do that for us, Mie?
Absolutely. So I think first I'll address the idea of being both a therapist and a life coach. And I do find that, unfortunately, psychotherapy still tends to be very scary for a lot of people. A lot of people may have had a bad experience being forced into therapy as a child, or they have not found a good fit and it just doesn't seem to work. We don't have magic wands, but we've done a lot of work in understanding the mind and the soul and our behaviors and things like that, and really helps people heal if they're ready. And then the life coaching piece really is more for, the woman who either comes with no healing necessary. I don't know who that would be, but, pretty much maybe have it together and they're at a successful place in their life, but like what those of us that have come to you, Julie, kind of stuck, right? And so I'm able to do both and use those psychological and those psychoeducational tools to help them grow and move forward. So for me, a year and a half ago, yes, I was about to make this big move across the country. I had been a successful therapist now for 20 years, my own private practice, as well as a practice in the desert area. And my son wasn't doing really well because our best friends moved 5 years ago. Her father was ill and she came out here, and the boys just have been best friends since their birth. And they're both kind of introverts and just weren't thriving as much. And I really didn't have any reason to stay in California. I'd gotten to a place where I now had to become an employee at the clinic I was working at because of different rules and regulations in California. So I thought, you know what? How about I just find a new area, and it is just beautiful here. So about the same time as that happened, I met you and we started talking about vision. And I was like, well, I have a vision. I have a dream. The dream and a vision are the same, but I really don't know how to get there. And they don't teach you that, in psychology school. They teach you how to be what you're going to be and help people heal. And that's great. But I wanted to do more. I'm a faithful Christian. I just believe that God has a plan for all of us and that I have gifts that I'm supposed to be used to honor him. So all these things were going through my head. And then meeting Julie, it just tapped into it even more because I'm hearing this woman talk about her life and her vision. And I'm meeting these other women who have discovered their vision. And it was just like, wow, this whole new world opened up. So it's hard. Moving across the country is a big deal. You don't really realize it, but it's a big deal. And, getting into a new house and just all the changes were a little overwhelming. But I had that, but then it's like, okay, now what? Now what do I do? Where do I go? It was in the middle of COVID. We moved at the end of 2020. And for me, actually, the COVID issue has been a blessing in disguise. And I think, for me, I've been trying to help other people see that COVID can do one or two things for us. It can just put us in a place of despair, or we can use it to become the best versions of ourselves. So, yeah.
I appreciate that. And I know that many women that I talk to, they actually do have a dream, but they don't know how to get there. And that's what I think, what I hear you saying in a nutshell of where were you at? You had a lot of dreams, actually. You had big ideas. Like you weren't without the ideas or the inspiration. You just didn't have the practical steps on how to get there. And that in and of itself can be reason enough to not go forward, because we can get paralyzed by that. So yes, we do have a practical step-by-step formula to help women realize their dreams and their visions, which is one of I think the reasons that, you were drawn to us. So tell us about what you think your biggest takeaway was from Live Your Vision. Maybe it was just that, but if it wasn't, tell us share with us what you did get.
Well, having the vision and then having the place to learn how to implement it was fantastic. But I think for me, the biggest thing was realizing that I had a process. I had a process that I could name. And that was just like the biggest light bulb. So, I've been 20 years of doing therapy. I've had this organic process, but you helped me name it. And when I was able to name my process through the steps that I have done, has shown me how to help other people name their process, all beginning with our stories. We all have a story. And the beginning of time is a story. And that just was another eye opener. So taking the story and walking through the process I've done in my life to get where I am, and then using that process to help others and showing them their process has been absolutely a game changer. So that was huge for me. This still is. It's just such a beautiful, simple, but lovely thing that was in front of me the whole time, but I couldn't see it.
Yep. That is the funny thing about the work that we do. It's not putting something new into you. It's helping you see what God has already done within you. And so for you to recognize and trace, identify, and name your unique process, I know that was something that really gave birth to and gave clarity to the vision that you really wanted to achieve. So why don't you share with us now just a little bit about your vision and what you're doing currently?
Okay. Well, that was a surprise too. I think that my whole being here was part of God's plan. But then when I got here, we found out this interesting thing that people in the Bible Belt areas don't normally need as much therapy because they actually follow the Lord. And so for those that are believers, that was kind of a big deal, because I was able to get paneled on the insurance companies in Florida, but they didn't need me. We have plenty of therapists, they said. So I was like, wow, okay, what do I do now? Well, all right, there are plenty of people out there that don't have insurance or don't need to go through insurance or don't choose to go through insurance. And so we started working on that. And so I still am a telehealth therapist in California. I built a private practice here in Vero Beach, Florida. And I am building a practice online, which was a whole new, beautiful thing, because I'm able to work with people all through the United States and throughout the world. So yes,
that's cool. It opened
exciting.
up. It's so funny, the obstacle. We always talk about how the obstacle becomes the opportunity, where there's an opportunity within the obstacle. And it's funny, when Florida said they don't need more therapists, it just opened up this other avenue, thinking, okay, you were going to move from Southern California, build your practice in Florida, but then God redirected it and opened up this whole bigger opportunity, which is now you have a little of both. You have your private practice for those that don't have insurance or don't want to use insurance for therapy. You have your practice in Southern California as well. And now you have this online presence, which I am so thankful for, because I just realized how many people need help and support given what's going on these days.
Yes.
I mean, the depression, anxiety, and all of those mental health issues that have come to the forefront based on because of what we're going through as a culture and the, everything, just the communities these days, the isolation, everything that's taking its toll on us. I just think you're needed more than ever. And I've talked to so many different therapists that actually are, they're very specific to a certain area or a certain specialty, and they are booked all the time and people can't get in. And so I think by you opening yourself up, you're to being online that way, I think you've given yourself an opportunity to serve more people and give people an opportunity to be served by you. So tell us a little more about some of the, what in your practice, in your therapeutic work and in your coaching work, though we've married, I know we worked hard to marry the two, because I remember having very specific conversations with you about how you didn't want to just help people get out of pain. You felt like they needed to move forward as well. And so you wanted to have, and that's what your process, your signature process incorporated. It was, yes, the healing piece, but it was also the moving forward piece. And that's where usually coaching and therapy divide, is that, therapy is about looking back, in my experience, and healing. And then coaching is about building the bridge to the preferable future. Now, most coaches are not qualified therapists, and a lot of therapists are not qualified as coaches, because it's kind of two different areas of the brain in the way that we think. So I thought what was so interesting to me and so unique about you is that you have both. And I think that's part of where that joyful spirit comes in. So tell us a little bit about the practice of your therapeutic and your coaching practice and how you marry those two.
Okay. Well, if you ask me what theory I practice, it would be, I'm a combination of existential gestaltist. So we're going to look back and we're going to heal, and we're going to, heal those things that are holding us back. But then we're going to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and we're going to move forward. We're not going to just stay stuck in that mud of, oh, woe is me, this happened, because it doesn't do our life any good. And so, and then with my coaching, it's normally, women that, like I said before, none of us are completely unbroken, but they've been able to work through it, or it was minor and they've been able to be successful in their life, but they still get stuck. And I'm very much use cognitive behavioral therapy, and that thinking, feeling, behavioral doing piece works in both worlds, because there's for some reason, again, there's this I can't think of the word right now, but people, there's a stigma with going to a therapist, but there isn't a stigma going to a life coach, even though a lot of the same tools are being used. So in the world of life coaching, any of the tools that I use that are psychological are more psychoeducational. So, we all know, whether we go to therapy or not, that we have thoughts and feelings. And those thoughts and feelings go together. And if it's a positive, wonderful thought or feeling going together, either the positive feeling or the positive thought, or the positive thought, positive feeling, however those go, they work together. And you are either going to have a good day or you're going to have a bad day. And so learning how to channel those correctly is something that we all need as human beings, just in our everyday world. And so I felt like it was really a good place, because I had many people ask me if I did life coaching, and had many people ask me after therapy if I could then help them with the life coaching. And so it all just kind of worked out. And so I kind of get people to the place of where now you're there and you're ready to go. And then I usually share Julie, because it worked so well for me to find my vision, that I think once they get to where they're ready to go, now they need someone to help them with either find their vision, fine tune their vision, and then show them how to make that happen in a community that just builds up women. I will say, I have never in my life met a group of women, whether Christian women or non-Christian women, who were not still very selfish and about themselves. This group of women build each other up. It's all about edifying one another in just this natural, loving way. We all know that we're growing. We all know that we're at different places, and it's just a beautiful thing to see everyone lifting each other up in this process.
Yeah, it is. It's really remarkable. And I do appreciate that. Yeah, you've said that on countless occasions, and I do appreciate that, your perspective on that, because I can sometimes forget what's so unique is this deep, safe, powerfully positive community of women devoted to one another's success. It's rare. I realize how rare that is now, especially when I hear from, professional women like yourself. So Mia, in our work together, in that safe group with, you got to explore a lot about you. And as we said, it's like, how often does the therapist get to have just someone working on her? And I think how delightful, I think as a therapist that must have been, but you're an influential woman. And I mean, for your personal growth, I mean, your patients and clients are waiting for you to be filled up so that they can be filled up. And I think that's the beauty of the community. So in that process, we discovered your signature process called Finding Your Way Forward. And I just love that from a faith-based standpoint and from a therapeutic standpoint. It isn't just like, healing the broken heart. It is really, no, it's finding your way forward. Can you outline your process for us just a little bit about just maybe a couple of the steps that you take people through?
Yeah. So I think, we've all heard the saying, enough is enough. And we say it over and over and over, but we don't always do something about it. And so what I do is I help people figure out that I am finally there. Enough is enough. I've had it with where my life is at or whatever situation is going on. And my process takes them through forward, identifying it, healing what needs to be healed, moving forward to where they want to be, and using intentionality and having daily practices that help them maintain what they are doing. So their life is now changed. We set these resolutions for the beginning of the year, and halfway through the year we kind of forget about it and we just stop. Instead of going, oh, I have this goal, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, or I am going to open a new business. But we get stuck in those places that are difficult. We get stuck in those obstacles and we don't know how to push forward. So I teach people how to push forward, how to, kind of stay with it, never give up, never quit. I've always teased my people. I have one rule. I have a no quit button. So we can take a pause, but we don't get to quit. We don't get to give up. And I think, again, like you said, with our culture right now, with our world the way it is, with this pandemic that seems to never be ending, we have to learn to adjust and evolve with whatever is going on and not lose ourselves to this thing that really isn't bigger than we are. And so Finding Your Way Forward is my group that I've started to help people get there and decide, do I need to heal first? Do I need a lot of healing? Do I do therapy first and then go to coaching, or do I, I'm good. I've done a lot of work through my life, and now I need someone to help me kind of take those steps to move forward. I don't know how to properly use my calendar, and I don't have a plan every day. And then I do have a plan, but it's so rigid and I can't move in it. So just teaching people how to flow into their life the way they want it to look.
That's beautiful.
Is what it's about.
I love it. I love it. So, and I love the fact that you help people heal, intentionally healing them so that they can be released to move forward, which I think is so powerful. And I love that. Can you share with us just a couple of recent stories that people that you've helped? I know we were just talking before this offline about how you had helped numbers of different people and a variety of different people, because you have access online now to the West Coast, the East Coast, and everything in between. You really have helped great numbers of people and a variety of people. So with this particular process, it's very useful in many ways. So share with us a couple of results or stories, if you don't mind.
Okay. So one of the things Julie asked me was, who was my niche group? And, doing therapy for so many years in a family center, it's hard to, first of all, work on a marriage without the entire family, or to work on parenting without the children, or to help the children without helping the parents. So I have really learned to do everything with everyone. But because I do the cognitive behavioral work, it also does work for everybody. So over the last 20 years, there's a few stories that are fairly recent that have stuck out that I think will help kind of frame that for you. So the first one was a young woman who had sexual molestation in her background, in her past. And she had worked through it pretty well, very professional gal. And but now she was getting married and she wanted to have a baby, but was absolutely scared to death of being a mom because she thought that maybe she would not be able to protect her mom. So we started doing that work. We did the healing work and got her through all of that and got her to a place of where, you know what, you're a mama. There's these mama instincts. There's all those things that you're going to be able to do. And that was a lot of work. And then they got married and then suddenly they were pregnant and it wasn't planned. It kind of happened. and she was scared to death, but we worked all the way through her pregnancy. And in August, she had a beautiful baby girl born in the same month she's born in. So the personalities are going to be very similar. And the fear isn't there. We're still working on setting boundaries with her, because what we discovered was that boundaries was kind of some of the area that she needed to work in, having that history. But now being able to learn to use boundaries well to protect her daughter.
Wow.
Another
That's a
story.
beautiful story.
Yeah, I know. It's so
Beautiful
awesome.
story.
It was so
Yeah.
awesome. And a COVID baby, she got COVID like 3 months old, the whole family. And, she was okay, but talk about scary for a new mama. That was new for both of us. And then a couple of years ago, I had a family. I worked with a lot of military families, doing a lot of integration work with, dads coming home for being on tour. And I will tell you, there's a lot of work that needs to be done for our vets. These vets come home, and our culture is so divided right now. And the thing that they see over there is that even though they're in the middle of war, there is a code of honor with elders. Yeah. There's a code of honor with the people, with their people. And so these poor men will sometimes be standing in a line at a grocery store and hearing people complain, and they got to leave. It is so, they look at where they have been, living in a war-torn country where there's no possibility of a grocery store with shelves full of groceries, and the ungratefulness that they can sometimes see is probably worse than their PTSD. Wow. So I had this couple, and their marriage, because of him coming back, was really rough. And they had been married before. She had 2 children, he had 2 children, and the mother of these 2 children were no longer in the picture. And so they were in the process of adopting these girls, but their marriage was suffering as well. And so we did a lot of work. I started with him, working with his PTSD, and then that brought in her and started with the couples work. And then it brought in the 2 girls, and then her 2 when they would come to visit. And we did all this family therapy, and it worked. We repaired the marriage and built up the family. Sadly, he ended up getting killed in a motorcycle accident. And that was horrific for me. I mean, they almost felt like my children. And so that was really awful. But because of all the work we had done and where we had them solid as a family, the same week that he passed away, the adoption was finalized for her. So these children were not stuck somewhere in a foster system. She was able to complete the adoption and adopt these little girls. So that was absolutely beautiful. And then just most recently, I had a single mom with high anxiety. And this mom was almost to the point of having agoraphobia, where she could not leave her home. And she had a beautiful little 6-year-old, and a single mom, but the father-in-law was very involved in helping the daughter with schooling and just helping out. And so good, healthy family. And so she would go to the park with her daughter maybe once a month, and she would just fall apart and she couldn't go out again. So we did that cognitive behavioral work, and we got her to where she is now. And we're talking only 3 months. She is now walking to the park every day. She's walking 2 miles a day. She takes her daughter to the park 3 times a week. And just this weekend, the whole family went on a hiking trip, which she had never done before. Now, she still experiences the panic attacks, but I've taught her how to use that energy instead of, we have fight, flight, or freeze as human beings. That's to keep us safe, right? But most people just kind of freeze and turn inward and go hide. And I said, that little surge of energy that comes, see if you can put it outward. And so she's learned how to move into that anxiety feeling when it comes, and move through and past her panic attacks even as she's out there. So yeah, and it's beautiful for me to actually see that the things that I've been taught and learned, as well as the gifts God has given me, is actually able to help people find their way forward and move forward and heal. I don't think I could have done this for 21 years if it didn't work. It doesn't work with everybody. We have to want to work. We have to want to change. We have to want to grow. Yeah. And the minute you say yes and stop being afraid, it works.
Oh my gosh, Mie, your work is so powerful. I got goosebumps every single one of those stories. I mean, it's so beautiful. Your process clearly is one of healing and moving forward. And I just thank God for you. I thank God for the work that you do, and the heart that you have to do that work, and the heart that you have to continue to grow and expand and make access to what you have more available to others. In a time such as that we're living in, we need you so desperately. And I know there are many out there listening that are thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to get in touch with Mie. I have, either I need it or someone I know needs this kind of therapeutic work, which isn't just Now, one thing we didn't talk about me on camera is that you're not the typical therapist in that you just sit and listen, right? Please distinguish
Yes.
yourself in that respect. And then I want to share with the audience just how to get in touch with you so that, they can get the help they need or their loved ones need.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the compliments that I've received, all glory goes to God in this, but is that I am not the typical therapist that is what we describe as psychodynamic. The psychodynamic therapist is going to ask you how you feel. They're going to do a lot of nodding. They're going to do a lot of ahums, and you're going to have to possibly try to figure it out yourself. This is where I think the cognitive behavioral therapy comes in. My people will tell you that I'm different. I'm very engaged. I'm very involved. I often have to tell people, if I'm pushing you too fast, please tell me, because I can't read your mind. And so, for someone who maybe needs that type of therapy, they're definitely out there. But I am very engaged in working alongside of you. And I think that's why the coaching piece works as well. When you get a nutrition coach and when you get a sports coach, they're not just listening to you talk about what's going on. They actually work with you and give you tools and ideas, and you brainstorm together as a team and figure out how is this going to help this person become the best version of themselves, basically. So you're going to get a very live version of me.
Yeah, I love that. I just felt that was so necessary because I've talked to you before about that distinction. And that has been one of the frustrations with my own personal experience with therapy, is just the nodding and the, but feeling like, I came to you for help. Where is it? Please help me. I wanted a little more engagement. And so I think you're a refreshing alternative. I know there, like you said, there are others that need that, just that processing out loud with the help of someone professional sitting with them. But this situation is that I can see how it lends itself to just a lot of results, for people to heal and move forward. So I say all that to say, any of you that are listening that really do have the desire and you've got stuff that's holding you back. I mean, given their climate, there's a lot of that. Being in this pandemic has surfaced what a lot of things were already there, but we hadn't slowed down long enough to be able to take care of them. If you have anything going on within you or loved one, by all means, please don't wait. Contact Mie and see if she has room in her schedule for you. I pray that she will, but I really do know that she's desperately needed. On that note, Mie, could you please share with us where they could get in touch with you and where they can learn more about you?
Sure. So they can look me up a couple places. Here in Florida, it is treasurecoastpsychotherapy.com. And then in California, for those people that have the Inland Empire Health Plan, I can be reached at Aurora Family Counseling Center in Murrieta, California. And that insurance, I believe, covers all of Riverside County. So I'm not sure how far you stretch, but just letting people know that they can do telehealth with me there. And then Finding Your Way Forward, you can ask to be invited into our group on Facebook. And I'll be doing some teachings and things on there. This is kind of a new process for me. So right now, a lot of it, just a lot of writings, but I'm going to start putting some video things in there that people can learn from, and then they can private message me there as well.
Yeah, that's great. So hopefully we'll put the links in there with you, everything, but it's treasurecoastpsychotherapy.com. Yep. And then it's Aurora
Family Counseling Center.
Aurora Family Counseling Center for the Southern Californians that are in the Riverside area that have insurance with that. And then by all means, please find her on Facebook called Finding Your Way Forward. And in her private Facebook group, she's got tons of great resources there, and you can actually reach out to her there and find out more about her online groups. So if you're not in Southern California and you really want to work with Mie, you can find out more about her there because she is online now as well. So I just wanted to say thank you so much again for joining us today, Mie. Your work is so desperately needed today. And we are so thrilled to have you as part of our Live Your Vision community. And it's an honor to have you as a resource. So I hope you all have enjoyed this time together, this vision session, this vision talk that we're having here today. For any of you faith-filled, adventurous souls longing for more, but you need some healing, contact Mie. By all means, don't wait. If you're feeling that urge today, by all means, reach out to her. Don't hesitate, take action. So thank you, Mie, for joining us. Much love, my friend. Hugs to you. And here we go.
Thank
in 2022.
you, Julie.